great that we're here talking about it. It's not great that there are people here who are suffering it, or people here who are adults and suffered the trauma of domestic violence as children, because it does stay with you. But I think over the last perhaps years since COVID, when we do know that the incidence of domestic violence really escalated, that people have begun talking about it more. There is a stigma around domestic violence, and I think that's a stigma no more than a stigma around mental health that we really have to get rid of.
As a young solicitor many years ago, I witnessed a prosecution of a man who had beaten his wife to an inch of her life. I can't remember much of the detail of the case, but I do remember the remarks from the judge as he handed down a lengthy custodial sentence. He succinctly described the perpetrator, the defendant, as a coward. This description might well be apt to describe any person, regardless of their gender, who perpetrates such vile acts. As we know, however, that domestic abuse is so much broader than just simple assault.
What we find is that some people don't even know that they're victims of domestic violence because they put it down to, oh, it's my fault, they blame themselves, I shouldn't have done that, or if I had have appeased this person, I mightn't be in the situation I'm in now. And that's, I think, the councillor mentioned about the guilt that's associated, and Lord Mayor, the guilt that's associated with it, and blame, So by the time somebody actually does report an incident of domestic violence, we're seeing that there's probably 25 incidents in the background before they've actually got to the point where they said, actually, hang on a second, this is wrong. So events like this publicise it, they get the information out there, and what we're trying to do today, like in supporting these events and other initiatives that we have, is to let people know that they're not alone out there, that there is assistance, that there's a variety of different ways that we can help you or assist you if you do find yourself in difficulty.
In 2016, we set up our organisation called Stop Domestic Violence in Ireland. And at this point, I can't even tell you how many people have come forward and said, I don't know how to get a protection order, I don't know how to get a barring order. We don't actually know, unless they actually have the strength to say, no, I have to leave. The first time you leave, and if you never go back, that is the best thing ever. That's the break in the cycle. But if you go back 10 times over, you might end up dead, and that's the worst thing. So for us, what we do is, if a victim comes to us and says, I need help, we obviously ask our kids involved, and it's done very privately. And the reason it's done very privately is because of obviously the in-camera rule and family law and stuff like that. So when someone comes to us, we'll say, okay, have you gone to the courts? Have you looked at legal aid? And if they don't have a clue, we guide them of what they need. If it's a barring order, safety order, protection order, if it's to do with access, anything, we'll help them as much as we can.
Last year, I lost my beautiful sister Jennifer, who was murdered by her abuser. Jennifer was 24 years old, with 2 children who loved life. Jennifer had a heart of gold. She was hard-working, caring, and loved her family and children very much. Jennifer was independent and ambitious, loved her music, and she loved to dance. She would always have a smile, even though life, as we found out, was not great behind closed doors. Jennifer went from one violent relationship to another, as she thought this type of violence and behaviour was normal and acceptable. This type of violent behaviour is not normal or acceptable. Either is the verbal, mental, emotional, sexual or financial abuse that victims are going through and that survivors have went through. I ask people who feel like Jennifer and feel that this is normal or that they can't get away to please seek help and support. Jennifer didn't, and she lied to us, her family, about what was going on. And in the end, it was too late for her.